The Drilling Data tab in Innova Engineering allows the user to plot real-world recorded data alongside output from the program. We can use this to back-calculate an estimate for our friction factors. This can make simulations of future drilling runs more accurate. This video will guide the user through the process. Enter your recorded data into the Drilling Data tab. If you have your data in a table format, such as an Excel spreadsheet, you should be able to just copy and paste it in. The best data to use is the pickup and slack off weights, which we can then compare against the simulated hook load results. You can also use torque values, but torque is sensitive to more variables than hook load, which can make comparing simulated results to real values more difficult. Engineering charts are plotted against measured depth, so any value entered into the Drilling Data tab must also have a measured depth entered into the same row. To make the Drilling Data tab easier to use, you can use the Show Hide parameter column settings in the Options menu to toggle off columns that you don't need. Now that you have entered the recorded data into the Drilling Data tab, you should set up the torque and drag simulation so that, as closely as possible, it matches the circumstances that the real-world values were recorded in. Set up the drill string with the same string that was used in the real well bore. The most important component here will likely be the drill pipe, as that is the component that occupies the majority of the well bore. Fill in your well geometry and fluid properties, and then in the Surveys tab, you should use the surveys recorded in the real well bore. In the Engineering tab, match your torque and drag parameters as best you can to the real parameters used during drilling, and make an initial guess for your friction factors. Don't forget to check your torque and drag model settings in the Options menu. Also in the Options menu, we have an option called Include Drilling Data in Calculation. When this is toggled on, data entered into the Drilling Data tab will override data entered into the Drill String tab and the Parameters tab. However, this only works for the mud weight, mud rheology, ROP, and RPM. If you have this data available, it is recommended that you use this feature. So for example, I have the recorded RPM and ROP values available, so I will copy them into my Drilling Data tab. Remember that every row must have a measured depth entered. Now that I have this data in the Drilling Data tab, the RPM and ROP values that I entered in the Parameters tab are the starting values. When the program gets to a measured depth in the Drilling Data table that contains a value for RPM or ROP, it will update the parameter to the new value. When it reaches the next value, it will update again, and so on and so forth. Run the torque and drag calculation, and then open up the hook loads chart. Use the Add Series option to add the pickup and slack off columns from the Drilling Data tab to the chart. You may also need to use the Show Hide Series button to get them to show up, and you can also disable a few series to declutter the chart. Now that we can see both the real data and the simulated data side by side, we can tighten up the range of friction factors we are using. To do this, close the hook load chart, go to your Engineering Parameters tab, and alter the friction factors in the friction factor table. Then run the torque and drag calculation again. Open the hook load chart back up and see if the simulated pickup and slack off lines tie in better with the recorded results. Repeat this until you are happy with your friction factors. Depending on your company policy, you may want to add a certain amount of safety factor.